On my right is Lake Maury. Right's Lake Maury. So we're in Fairleigh, Vermont. I'm fairly certain. And I'm right. So here's what happened. If I get into my philosophy segment for the day. I love Lake Maury, by the way. It's just a beautiful lake. So stopped by Jesse's yesterday or 2 days ago to buy some vegetables. I said, you remember that ride we did? It was a Dirt Days pre-ride in 2020. I'm involved with I'm friends with almost all the riders that do Dirt Days rides, where they are the ride guides. And so the great thing about that is, for me, I get to pre-ride all the Dirt Days rides with friends. Dirt Days is coming up in a couple weeks. I'm not going to go to it for personal reasons, but either way, it's great to be able to ride Dirt Days rides with my friends, which is it's just fun at a faster pace than, you know, a group of like 20 people. So I said, remember that ride, Dirt Days 2020 pre-ride we did around Lake Maury, and then it kind of goes up to like Barrie, Vermont. He's like, when was that? Like 4 years ago. He's like, 4 years ago? Come on. So he doesn't remember. Luckily, I recorded it on Rever using my R-Link, my satellite tracker that I pay an annual subscription for. It tells me my bike gets jostled, gets moved, gets started. It tells me the location at all times. I see my bike location at all times, and it records the GPX, the route it goes on, as a GPX file. Lake Maury is so beautiful. So I scrolled through Rever history. When I first found the YouTube video, we did the ride, and then I was like, okay, May 9th, 2020, so I uploaded the video. So I found the ride May 7th, 2020. Here's the Rever link. Access that, export the GPX file, open it in Basecamp to make sure it was real, put it in iCloud Drive, open it in GPX Viewer for iPhone, and then here we are, we're riding it. So that's what we're doing. We're not doing the whole thing because his goes around Lyme, Orford, all the way up to North Haverhill, and then cutting over to Barrie. I'm doing opposite direction from Fairleigh, but I just want to do the heart section and show you guys the heart section. So, all right, that's the explanation of what's going on right now. I love Lake Maury though. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful lake. It's so nice. It's a beautiful lake. I love it here, and yeah, it's just nice. One time I ever damaged my Golf R, my 2013 Golf R, was ice fishing on this lake in my Golf R, but I was going like 75 miles an hour on the ice. Did not have studded tires, but I have winter tires, and I slid slowly into an ice berm, a snow berm that the guys have made, and just didn't a fender and had to replace the fender. Okay, I'm gonna find some dirt and I'll get back to you guys. Hey, we found dirt. I had to turn traction control off too. Last thing I'll mention about that ride though, it was May of 2020, and I did it on my R1200 GSA, Rosy Red. You should go watch that video actually. I'll link to it in the description. I just found it to find this GPX file, find the date. But that was a rough day. 220 miles of you know, mixed unpaved roads and trails like this. And it was me, it was the guy on his Africa Twin DCT, it was an XR650, a KTM 690. I'm trying to remember what other bike. There was 5 bikes, but we yeah, it was a great time. But man, I scratched my wheels all up in a mud hole. I was just on this video, these trails last week, telling you guys don't ride these things till June. We did it May 9th, and we should not have. I did that. I mean, I've learned my lesson. But May 9th, it was pretty rough shit. I mean, this is all mud. So. Up this rock hill, I'm going to talk to you guys. So today's philosophy section, I think some people call it child's mind, I call it mirror mind. A few different ways to interpret this lesson, or this kind of philosophical credo to how you live your life. But I did want to, like, you could probably fast forward 5 minutes or so, but I did kind of want to start with, are we in second? No, we're in third. In second. I'm neutral. I did want to kind of start with, you know, and I'm going to be 38 in a couple of weeks, and so I think at this point in my life, a lot of these teachings may have made me lose out on promotions or business deals or very specific like business opportunities, because the style that this particular ethos of kind of child's mind is very washed out, has definitely what it's done for me. And I remember when I interviewed at Apple a couple of years ago for a technical program manager position, they were giving me a few scenarios, and I remember they were giving me one scenario where it was like, hey, we got this problem. It's, you know, it's affecting 8%. This is a fake scenario. 8% of iPhones. Here's the issue. We're trying to organize the steps that we take next, and they're all technical steps. Do we do this or this or this? What comes first? Do we do this low-hanging fruit thing first? We do the bigger problem that is a security issue versus a annoyance issue, et cetera, et cetera. It was a whole thing. And and this is because of how I am. I'm very excitable. I take child's mind to a different perspective, where what I do is I see things as if I'm seeing them for the first time. I get excited about technology. I get excited about innovations. I get excited about people's progress and people's ability to share what they're going through and speak from their heart. And I do the same. And so what that's done, I'll go back to the interview here in a second. What that's done is it's made me on teams and with friendships of people that I'm close with. I've worked with a team for a year. I remember back at my old job, I was the highest scoring manager in the engineering division of like 1,000 people. I had the highest satisfaction, exit interview, morale, engagement scores of any other manager, because of the way I am as an individual, again, applying this logic, which again, I promise you I'll get to, of kind of just child's mind. Do we go? I think we're going this way. We'll see. But, you know, in that Apple interview, I was just wanting to know all the details, really get deep into it, almost from an engineering perspective, and not think about the surface, not think about the process or the impact or the time, but I really want to understand the technical challenges more, which is the first mistake. They don't want you to get too deep in. That's engineering's job. It's an engineering manager's job, not a technical program manager's job in most companies, but Google's a little bit different. But I just we went around it at one point. We went over here at some point to go around some mud over here. I then spent all my time really, honestly, just kind of bleeding my soul a little bit. Like, wow, that's a really amazing that you guys get to deal with this kind of problems. It's such an opportunity to have like 1 billion active devices, and these are the kind of issues you deal with. And I think what it came off as is, this guy's super amateur. He appreciates, like, he's saying this is a hard job. He's saying this is challenging. He's showing us, you know, respect and appreciation for this job we're interviewing him for, as opposed to getting busy solving the problem we're trying to get him to solve in this job interview. And that's because, you know, if you were to show me a brand new car, I'm not going to say, how much does it cost? When can I get one? How fast does it go? I want to talk to engineers and figure out all the problems they had to solve, and like empathize with them and like learn about the process they went through, and really not, and also most importantly about this philosophy of child's mind or mirror mind is not trying to shoehorn. I want to pause for a second and talk this through. Not applying your ego to the conversation. What I mean by that is not shoehorning. So let's say that I once spent an afternoon researching what tires to buy for my truck. and I get to meet an engineer that made the truck. And even though he or she has spent years on traction and contact with the ground and weight distribution and the impacts of hauling and towing on the suspension and the way things are designed and the way power gets delivered, and that's their whole livelihood. They went to school for this. They've spent 10 years developing this model. They know everything. They've consulted with every single tire expert in the world, every OEM, doing trials. And all I can do is find ways to intrude my weekend of research on TireRack.com in order to not spar with them and go toe to toe and like be as smart with them, but almost just so they don't think I'm clueless or stupid, because my ego demands that. My ego demands recognition. It demands acceptance. It demands someone realizing that I, maybe deserve to be there or something. So child's mind is someone showing you a ball and you asking all the questions of the ball, you playing with it as if it's your first time ever seeing a ball, but not saying, oh, I've seen this before. Someone hands you a basketball and you say, oh, I've played soccer, I've got this. That's the opposite of the philosophy I'm trying to share with you guys. Child's mind is not that one time that you saw a ball get dribbled and then you showing up at NBA court and saying, I got this. Or even if you don't say that out loud, thinking that you have a chance on the court, or overselling your skills. And it happens a lot in the ADV world of like people, I've heard instructors that they run the amateur and the novice stuff on the exact same weekend, because if you ask, usually guys, you ask 50 guys what their skill level is on their GS adventure, you might get 80% saying that they're amateurs, you might get 20% saying they're novices, but half of the 20% of novices actually are amateurs, and one of the amateurs is actually a novice, because most men oversell how good they are at something. And some people, men and women, might undersell. And so the problem with child's mind is that the opposite of what you're trying to tell you guys is that I'm parsing the GPX file, sorry, is that you aren't limited by your experiences. I'm looking at the map real quick. Your experiences don't define you. In fact, every time someone puts you behind the wheel of a car, that's your first time. I'm trying to get back on this road again. Where the F did we go? I think it meets up, but I don't believe it's down there though. I don't think it's down there. And so the problem I had in that interview was I was too child's mind. The problem I have a lot of first time meeting people is if I'm having an introduction meeting with someone that is, and I've had bosses tell me this too, like you outrank them. You have 10 years more experience than them. You out-certified them. You have all this knowledge and stuff. I mean, they've only been out of college for 2 years. And they're kind of a know-it-all. And the whole conversation I watched you have with this person was like, tell me more. It's like you're stroking their ego. And my defense is, but surely they know something that I don't. And I want to learn that one thing. I want to get rid of the bullshit. Ignore the bullshit. We're back on the road. I don't care what the bullshit they bring. And I can see through that. And usually because I know the thing they're telling me is, I know that what they're saying is wrong because I've lived it for longer. But there's probably one thing that I didn't know that I won't learn if I go toe-to-toe and put them on the defense. And so I've taken child's mind and mirror mind to be such an extreme thing that like I become a sponge around people I've never met before. And it takes people a very, very long time of working with me and interacting with me to realize, hey, this guy actually knows something. Hey, this guy has a background in this. Hey, this guy actually has done all this stuff that I would like to learn from. But I never show my business card or my LinkedIn profile or my resume or start spouting off things I've done with new people, especially if they are a quote expert in their field, because I want to give them the opportunity to teach me something. And I think that so I'm going to exude, or I'm going to profess why this is actually a really good thing to do. with the caveat that I have taken it from a very young age to be my whole ethos. And because of that, I feel like I am often looked over from respect from people in the business that I don't work with very closely or very often, from not from managers. Managers always like are singing my praises to other people, but other people are like, Adam, the guy that never talks in meetings and is always just listening and asking all these questions like it's his first day on the job. And that's the problem with this concept, is I think that like, so let's say the opposite of that. Why is this a good thing? I'm giving you all the reasons it's a bad thing. The importance of child's mind, and it's not just because I have a kid at home and I'm remembering this, it's just become a part of me, is that every single time you do something, whether it be, no idea how deep this is, whether it be your first time doing it or your 100th time, if you are whoa, shit! No idea how deep that was, and now my feet are wet. Yeah, very wet. Anyway, not watching. Whether you're a professional NASCAR driver, or an F1 racer, or a MotoGP racer, every single time you go out, if you think you know your opponent, or you think you know the track, or you think you know, unequivocally, you know your car or your bike, you know everything about it, you've spent thousands of hours going around this track against these 20 riders on this motorcycle as a MotoGP racer. If you, now some would say that confidence is what wins races, because then you push yourself and take chances. But I'm here to tell you that you need to don't do 100% like me, you need to keep that like 5% of child's mind internal as a mirror you put up against you at all times, just a little bit of it. Not enough to doubt yourself, not enough to think that you all of a sudden don't know how to ride a motorcycle. And I think, like those of you that watched all of my 1,675 videos, thank you. You see it in the way I share stories too. I don't usually speak with conviction or authority. I always give in my word choice a way for you, if you were held a strong opinion or a conviction, I give you, the viewer, the opportunity to comment and say, here's why you're wrong. Because I think there's always something that I can learn in addition to what I already know. In everything. There is nothing, absolutely nothing in my life that I know with a complete confidence that I am an expert in. Nothing. I've been making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for 35 years. There's probably a better way to do it. I've been wiping my ass for 35 years. Maybe more. And there's probably a better way to do it. And that's the whole point of this mirror mind, is you're always holding up the mirror to your reality, and you're checking yourself. Let me play back how I did that thing. Let me play back how I cut the tomato up, or how I drove the car, or drove the bike, or how I drove to work. Let me play back the way I treated that person, or the way I made that Excel spreadsheet. And let me make sure that, like, I need to look at that critically and make sure that I still feel that the way I did that was the best way to do it. It sounds super simple. I've given you the reasons why you don't want to go whole hog on this, because you'll have people that have, that like me will get told as regular feedback from peers and directors and VPs that I work with, that, like, I've had senior VPs who I'm working on projects with intimately for months say, you're the most amazing person at your job, but no one knows it. You never talk about yourself. You never tout yourself. You never show off. You never raise your hand in a meeting and go, hey guys, I got something really cool to show you that's super awesome. You don't, like, there's no agency for yourself. And when I tell people how great you are, they don't believe me because they haven't seen it. I see it because I see the work that you're doing, the output you're doing. But you're so busy trying to be better that you're not putting on a position of authority. And perhaps, this is a therapy session for me, perhaps the answer is, Adam, you can still be observant, you can still learn things, you can still realize that you have a ways to go in your skills and the way you apply things, like making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, without making the sandwich and asking everyone around you, even the children, is this the right way to do it? Because by doing that, everyone around you is like, this guy's 38 years old. Does he not know how to make a fucking sandwich? Like, they're like, is this guy okay? Is he sheltered as a kid? Is he all right? And, well, let's pause and we'll get back to this in a second. Next time I actually do a separate video. We'll end it here. We'll find another dirt road, I'll make a separate video.